All right, that wasn't so bad, was it? Is everything working? We are on monitor capture now. Let's see how that goes. I'll make sure the volume's good. Today's discussion, thank you. Today's discussion, I am live streaming right now for the 3 people that watch my YouTube videos. So we are going to talk today about player progression in Diablo 4. We're 24 hours away from the beta for those people that pre-purchased the game, like myself. And yesterday we covered all the classes. The Comeback Kids did a great video on that. We're going to look at a couple of their videos today, but I got some other videos for some other people too. There might be a little bit of overlap here on some of this stuff. If it goes too long today, we'll finish up some of this stuff tomorrow if we come in early for Diablo 4. I don't know how early we'll come in as a countdown stream for Diablo 4 tomorrow. The theory is that the game will be up tomorrow at 9 a.m., but will it be up at 9 a.m.? That is the question. I'm anticipating that things aren't going to go so well. So, when Diablo 3 came out in 2012, they had all kinds of problems. But that was a long time ago. So I assume everything will be okay, now. I don't know if I want to go full screen.
Diablo 4 has been in development for honestly quite a while, and there has been a massive amount of information released to us as this time has gone on. In today's video, we're going to be going through pretty much just about everything we know so far when it comes to the endgame in Diablo 4, as well as content we should expect added to the game after it's actually launched. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're also doing a giveaway for a free copy of Diablo 4, so to enter yourself, all you have to do is be subscribed and follow the link in the description below. Kicking things off, we have content that can be completed while you're actually leveling up, and that's definitely going to be beneficial for you up until you get into the true endgame of Diablo 4. Obviously, you have things like making sure you have all the dungeons discovered, towns, teleporters, taking over the smaller camps for some more settlements, the awesome renown system.
Renown? Settlements?
Based on completing each zone that you actually run into. There's also things like gathering, which you...
Gathering? There's gathering? Great. Yeah, the video, that was someone in chat made fun of the title of the video here. The truth about Endgame. Now, what they could have said was, what they don't want you to know, Diablo 4 Endgame, what they don't want you to know. They could have done that. There's gathering.
You can gather herbs or mines, as well as gathering from other creatures and world bosses that drop crafting loot as well. But just like in previous iterations of Diablo, you are going to be having world tiers back in Diablo 4.
World tiers? You mean like normal, hard? Is this actually a screen from Diablo 3, or is this a screen from Diablo 4? Well, by the way, in terms of Last Epic, just want to let you guys know, Diablo 4 ends... That looks like Diablo 3. Yeah. And Last Epic, we will be doing more stream... Like, when we're done with Diablo 4, we will be doing... We'll come back to streaming Last Epic. I'm just having a really good time with the game. So just let you guys know.
And right at launch, you're going to have 5.
They call them world tiers. World tiers? Where have I seen that before? I've seen world tiers somewhere before, where you... Genshin Impact. Is it Genshin Impact that uses world tiers? I don't remember. Recommend for new players to Diablo, world tier adventure, enemies easy to defeat, up through 5, torment. Fight the strongest, most fierce demons, unlock by completing the archives dungeon in world tier 4. So, of course there's going to be requirements to go from one to the next. So good. So this means that now how does your party system work? If I'm world tier 3, and I want to bring my friend in, but he's world tier 1, you know, I don't think, is the game going to let him come in? And I mean, I don't know how that works. What do you mean? That was D3? Yeah, that was a D3 screen. This is D4.
Pretty much what this is as you increase the world tier, you get increased difficulty on pretty much just about everything, but you get an increase in rewards as well. From XP to rarity of drops to the amount of drops. Everything you could possibly imagine will be increased and better as you progress through these world tiers. These tiers make doing open world content, for one, not so trivial, and there's actually some difficulty behind it, but it also keeps it a viable way of getting different variations of loot you may need.
Good. So world tiers, you know, when you're out in the open world doing stuff, so as you move up the world tiers, all that open world stuff is going to get you, it's going to have meaning to it, because you'll get to reap the reward on that.
To do some harder difficulty content later on down the line. Speaking of fantastic open world content, you are going to have to be well aware about Helltide events.
What's this? Never heard of this before. Helltide. Did he say event? I thought I heard him say event. Helltide is a region-wide event that becomes available after reaching World Tier 3. Nightmare difficult. World Tier 3. Nightmare difficulty? Are there difficulty levels within the world tiers? Probably. In these Helltides, the landscape will reflect the demonic activity, and monsters will be out in greater force and more difficult. Well, we've seen that in other games. And they also drop better loot. Monsters in Helltide have a chance to drop cinders, a currency that can be spent to open Helltide chests that are scattered throughout the region. Helltide chests reward you with items exclusive to a singular item slot, such as torso, legs, etc. If you die while carrying them, they will drop and they need to be reclaimed, the cinders. So, this is not going to be something that we're going to see during the beta. But, you know, it's nice to know that it's there. So in terms of difficulty in Diablo, I mean, the game, you're going to be able to make this game extremely hard, it looks like. And I wonder if it's just gonna be better on a lot of the stuff to just run as groups, you know. Although there will be other players in the open world.
Now, these are going to be region-wide events that are only available to players at a minimum of World Tier 3 on Nightmare. So increasing your world tier, once again, is incredibly important and stressed heavily. In these events, monsters and creatures are very much increased and stronger, but they drop increased loot rarity as well as increased loot rates as well. As you defeat these creatures, they are going to drop cinders, which is a brand new currency that you can use to spend on opening Helltide chests scattered throughout the region the event actually took place in. These chests drop incredibly powerful rewards exclusive to a singular item slot, and they also stress that you do drop cinders upon death as well. So to quickly break that down, you need a minimum world tier of 3, which you won't really reach until nearing the endgame anyways. And there are going to be these gigantic zone-wide events that are going to change and morph the whole zone as you know it. The creatures from Lilith's armies are going to be at these events, as well as some bosses or lieutenants that has a chance of dropping these currency called cinders, which then you use to open up these chests. This is going to be great for the endgame. It's going to have a ton of ways for players to interact with each other, to group up for some...
He took the words out of my mouth. Group up. Well, Tribble, I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. Ever since I downloaded Diablo Immortal a couple weeks ago, I started playing it and I'm like, you know what? Diablo 4 is going to be a lot like this in many respects, and it's turning out to be probably true. Notice, Helltide event, it looks to me like we're going to want to be in a group for that. This game is pushing you into groups just like Diablo Immortal is. That's what I think is going to happen. Just reading chat here. Anyone on YouTube watching this? I am live streaming right now, so I'm going to be interacting with chat as well. Be connected partially PvP if you die. Yeah, I don't know about the PvP. I missed some parts of yesterday's stream. Which class are you most looking forward to playing? Well, I don't know. I'm most looking forward to playing the Crusader. And possibly the Monk. And possibly the Witch Doctor. Maybe the Druid. But none of those will be available.
What?
And one of them won't be available in the first week. So, Gale, it's looking like I'm going to have to start with the old standard, possibly tomorrow, which is the Barbarian. The Necro won't be available till the next week. I'm either going to go Barb or Sork. Or Rogue. Which is the three that are available. We might as well do all three. You know, I think I'll just do all three. And see which one I like. I'm not happy with the classes we're getting in this game. I'm not happy with it. I just not really too excited about the classes. I want a Crusader. They're just like, I don't know what they're going to do in the future, but we just have to go with what we have right now.
Open world content, which is always amazing to see. Moving on to a theme that's really stuck around for Diablo is going to be the vast amount of dungeons you're going to...
Dungeons in Diablo 4. Dungeons are a core part of Diablo franchise. Surprise if he's the fourth installment. There are over 140 fully randomized unique dungeons. An improved version of the dungeon level random generator from Diablo 3 was used. The dungeons are instanced. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a party finder when you go to the dungeon. Just like what we saw in Diablo Immortal. That I don't know.
Find in the game as you level up, and even at the end game. There are more than 100 plus dungeons at launch, and each of them has their own entrance and unique creatures inside, and they're not going to be like rifts in Diablo 3 either. Now, once you get into the end game...
There's no rifts. There's no rifts. There are dungeons. And Necro is good. Necro is like a really good class. And it's got a lot of variety. So I may end up liking Necro more than anything. Yeah, and I'll have to just build it the way I like it. Necro may end up being the best class ever in this game. The Necro.
You're also going to be able to obtain Nightmare Sigils, which allows you to take these regular dungeons.
Okay, now we get into, like, dungeons. Man, the amount of information that this guy puts out is just crazy. Thank you, Comeback Kids. If, I'd like to give you just a kiss on the forehead. Yeah, Witch Doctor would be nice, but the Necro's going to do that for you. Was here yesterday. Yeah, that's right. He said that there is a party finder. Okay, I missed it because I'm assuming Diablo Immortal. You come to a dungeon, there's a party finder, or you go in alone, or you go in with a group. But you don't go in with randoms. But you could build a party, and that may send out a message for people. Maybe it may play just exactly like Immortal. Yeah, Necro's going to be good. Cow portals, yeah. There is no cow level. Yep, Necro may end up being the best class in the game. Let's continue.
And turn them into a nightmare dungeon. This is going to be a massive part of the end game as well, and it's going to be an excellent form of content to spend your time gearing up. There are a couple ways of acquiring these nightmare sigils. The first way is going to be from an NPC that you can actually get these crafted at, and the second is going to be through a bounty-like system. Every dungeon is going to be placed into a separate nightmare tier also. So pretty much no matter what, you're going to have the opportunity to run into a way wider variety of dungeons rather than doing the same one or same couple ones continually, because you won't be able to do every single dungeon.
I can't wait to do dungeons. And with a group. Inspired by Greater Rev. So, sigils... Nightmare sigils, and we'll go up infinitely. Which also determines the rarity of the item drops. So again, guys, groups. We're gonna need groups, and I don't think it matters, guys. I don't know for sure if I'm right about this. I think numbers are more important than what our classes are. It's just we need numbers of people to play together. And, you know, yeah, if you got some group skills to help, fine. But I think we just need numbers more than you know, anything. Maybe, I don't know. But we'll have each class has some kind of support skill. Not every class, but most of the classes have some kind of support skill. Endless difficulty in these dungeons and endless rewards. The thing is, the Necro will be great for solo play. And you know what? Maybe the Necro is the way to go. Maybe I should spend my time working on the Necro tomorrow, because that may end up being the best for solo too. You guys are helping me. I think maybe the Necro is the one I should be playing.
With every single tier, you can't do every single dungeon on tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is Necro available tomorrow? No, it's Rogue, Barb. Yeah, we're gonna try them all, Chappa. Okay, Necro's not available tomorrow, so we're gonna try them all this weekend. The 3 that are available.
You have to do them separately. These sigils also bring a wide variety of affixes and amplifications to the dungeon, also to make them even harder. Just like World of Warcraft with Mythic Plus, and they have, you know, their affixes that increase either boss health or, you know, when creatures die, they leave a pool of blood that kills players inside of it. So we're going to have to see what these affixes actually are. Just like we talked about in previous videos, you also have the Codex of Power, which is going to be your best friend.
Keep in mind, this video is not a complete guide on the game. This video is about endgame and content, okay? This video, but we got other videos to watch too. So these aspects and whatever, we're not gonna worry too much about min-maxing and stuff like that. We're just trying to get a flavor of everything, because even over the beta, we're not gonna be able to do a lot of this stuff. So a lot of this stuff we're not gonna be able to do, but it's nice to know what's coming. Yeah, closed beta is first weekend is Barb, Sork, Rogue, and then we get 2 more on the next one. Yeah, just try out each class and have fun. So that's the whole thing. Just try them out. Yeah, that's what I heard, Chappa. It was real. That the KFC thing is real. You get to play beta for ordering something from KFC, which you know, I was always a fan of KFC anyway. For classes to make, there's a calculator. There is, okay. Yeah, viable as in there is no bad class. Yeah, I think I think the big thing is it's not like, oh, hey, we need a Necro. Hey, anyone in the channel a Necro to help us run this dungeon? No, we're just going to need numbers. We just need people.
Honestly, in Diablo 4. This manual contains every legendary you could possibly attain and how you can actually obtain them. And the way...
Codex of Power contains everything you can obtain and how you can obtain them. Unlocked by completing Wretched Delve into... Okay, so... you know, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is a passive system here, you know, but...
The way that you do that is simply by completing the dungeons attached to them, and then you will have these powers permanently unlocked. You just need to take some gold and actually apply them to your armor yourself.
Hey!
You have to know that these are the lowest roll of all legendary powers, so at first it's going to be a very great way to test out some builds and hit a power spike to push you further into endgame. Another way to get a great amount of loot through daily quests is going to be through the Whispers of the Dead.
Okay, so those aspects are kind of like things, powers that you get and you take. It's like Zoltan Cool, I guess. Powers you unlock, and then you got a piece of gear. It's got a slot for the aspect, and then you just pick the aspect. Right? Codex achievements to unlock more power. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, Zoltan Cool, you know. Here's all these powers, so you pick one and slot it in there. Something like that. Yeah, that's great. You guys all did the KFC thing. I mean, I would be like, totally, you know. You could buy the $60 version of the game and then save $30. by ordering a chicken sandwich or something, you know.
System.
Whispers of the Dead. I think that's what they were talking about. That's how you get the sigils or something. Tree of Whispers has frequently cycling world objectives. Cycling world objectives. They're trying to create this living, breathing world. You know, people are going to have to get adjusted to this. What's up, Nachi? You see, yeah, well, not, you know, PoE to me is just like insanity. I don't want that. I don't want PoE. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Yeah, Diablo 3 is fun to play for a few days. They are trying to create this dynamic world with a bunch of crap going on. And yeah, they just were kept alive with seasons.
So on your map, you'll see whispers scattered all throughout Sanctuary. And what you need to do is complete the task associated with that whisper, and you're rewarded with gold, XP, and lastly, what's really important is the Grim Favor.
Grim Favors from Whispers. Are Whispers events? The type of whispers on the map will rotate frequently throughout the day. Each will offer a different set. I don't think we're going to have big maps. Like, you know, Diablo Immortal, the maps are not big. Cycling world objectives. Well, what is going to happen when you're just playing the game and all this stuff's popping up? There's this going on. Do you have to go to a location? Like, oh, there's a whisper. There's something happening over here. Oh, let's go run over there. And then you got to go through a bunch of mobs to get there. I don't know how that's going to work.
Now, once you've collected 10 Grim Favors total, you can bring them to the Tree of Whispers to exchange for a nice amount of loot and a bunch of experience. This is pretty much taking over the bounty system in previous iterations of the game and is very similar to doing world quests in World of Warcraft. You know, you log in, you check on the map to see where your Grim Favors are, you go do them, and then...
Oh, okay, so they'll be like bounties, location-based. So you just go there, okay, there's like bounties there, and so they'll pop up, be randomized, and then you go complete it. Now the question is, that'll stay up, that's for you to complete. You don't have to worry about other people taking down a boss and then there's nothing there for you. I think probably. Yeah, Lost Ark. I mean, Lost Ark's an MMO disguised as an ARPG. Lost Ark is an MMO. I cannot play Lost Ark. I tried. Yep, that's right. Diablo 3 is like 3 days worth of play and then you're just kind of like wondering, what are you chasing? Paragons, you know. Yeah. Let's play. That's right. That's right.
10 of those Grim Favors to the...
Okay. Someone said, let's play it before we judge its longevity. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. We do a lot of judging here. But don't take it too seriously. We do a lot of prejudging here. So otherwise, like, I don't know if I would have much of a stream if I didn't do a lot of prejudging. So we're gonna have to live with that. I judge a lot, even before I've done something. But then we verify. We check our assumptions by doing it. Yeah, PoE just like I don't want PoE. I just don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Tree of Whispers, exchange it for a bunch of loot, bada bing, bada boom, done. It's going to be a great way if you don't have a lot of time to go out there, do some dailies to help you get some loot fairly quickly. And it's going to be an incredibly effective way to acquire some Nightmare Sigils and turn these regular dungeons into Nightmare Dungeons to help you progress through getting some gear obviously more effectively and getting the best loot possible to do the hardest content you possibly can. Moving on to my favorite thing is going to be some PvP. Fields of Hatred is going to be a large part of Diablo 4, and it is the PvP zone that you can encounter. How this works is there are going to be zones that are set PvP zones, and once you enter them, you'll be alerted that you entered a PvP area. Obviously, if you don't want to PvP, you should leave. If you do, you can stay. But then once you stay, you'll be able to fight in open world combat against anybody in the zone that isn't in your actual group. Inside these PvP zones, there are going to be chests, loot, rewards, enemy NPCs, all of that still active inside the zone. Now, pretty much everything you do inside the zone is going to reward you with Seeds of Hatred. And this is going to be a fantastic currency because you take these seeds to an altar of extraction and convert them into red dust. But something important to note is everyone will be notified and will be able to see that you're actually converting your seeds into dust. So people are definitely going to try to attempt to kill you and take your spoils.
What? So the PvP zone you can go to, do stuff in the zone. You're going to get seeds of hatred. When you convert seeds of hatred at the altar to something better, I assume, you'll be flagged for PvP. And now the war is on for people to try to take seeds from each other, killing each other. Collect seeds of hatred from killing players and monsters. No? You're not flagged. Like, in these zones, you'll be able to group up, and they can also be freely explored without engaging in PvP, unless you start converting your seeds of hatred at the altar of extraction, which will flag you for PvP. The objective in these zones is to collect seeds of hatred from killing players and monsters. So what I'm confused. Completing events and opening chests. While carrying seeds, you can lose collected seeds on death. These can be converted at the altar and turn them into red dust, a currency, which will not drop on death. That can be spent at the PvP cosmetic mount vendors or rewards. I'm a little confused, but it's just doing it as part of groups might be kind of fun, you know. Yeah, this is like you should be flagged as soon as you go in there. But it says right here, in these zones, you will be able to group up, and they can also be freely explored without engaging in PvP, unless you start converting your seeds to dust, probably. Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm in the zone. I'm doing stuff. No, I think we're okay, Nachi. Listen, guys. So I'm in the zone and I'm doing stuff. Boop, 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 boop. I start getting seeds of hatred. I have seeds of hatred. They're worthless right now. I have seeds of hatred. I'm like, well, I want to buy some crap with this. Sorry, you got to convert it to dust first. So I convert some of them to dust, let's say. So I've converted them to dust. So I get flagged for PvP by doing that. I get to keep the dust, but any other seeds of hatred I get will be lost if I die. I think that's what they're trying to say. I think. It says you're not flagged until you convert. So I'm a little bit confused here, Jan. You have to opt into PvP, but you're not flagged yet. I don't know. Has anyone actually played this? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Wait till you're done. Convert and then get the hell out. Something's wrong here. Something doesn't add up on this.
Now, it's important to note that if you are killed with seeds on you, they will be dropped. But if you are killed with red dust on you, they will not be dropped. So right after you convert the seeds into red dust, you are completely safe. You are fine. You are free to go.
There's got to be some kind of risk here before you do the conversion. There's got to be. We'll see how this goes. We'll get more info on this. Those are conflicting paragraphs.
Take these red dust and you turn them in for cosmetics, mounts, etc. And, you know, at this point, whether you'll be able to buy gear with them, it's still in question as no one really knows at the moment. But it's definitely going to be a great way to show your valor out in PvP as of right now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so that is honestly just a majority of the endgame so far that we know of. And main content you can do at the launch in Diablo. Obviously, there are a lot more things to go over and to prepare for when it comes to the game. But, I mean, you have gearing for a vast majority of builds, seasonal content, DLCs, insane level of depth from the Paragon boards, which honestly, it just unlocks stats and bonuses.
I don't even know what Paragons are. Maybe when you pick up the seed, that's when you're flagged. because otherwise I'll just keep accumulating seeds, convert them to dust, and then bail the hell out, you know. Apparently there's paragons, which I don't even know how they work in this game. But I think there might be another video on that. Paragon boosts. Okay.
There is a lot to do with the Paragon boards and a lot more other things, so stay tuned for that as well. By the way, the beta release date was just announced.
I think we're going to see that in another video, the Paragon stuff. Next, these are not long videos, so don't worry about that. I don't know, Drosko. Let's just continue.
Okay, this is easily one of the more controversial debate topics about Diablo 4 underneath our comment section so far. Even more than the infamous Battle Pass being implemented, which Blizzard is adding on top of a $70 game. Something that's so core and crucial to every single game, and it seems that every single time someone talks about the system, they either love it or they hate it. Before we dive too deep into this topic, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to stick around until the end of the video to see how you can earn a free copy of Diablo 4 from the Comeback Kids. Back in the classic era of RPGs, people truly enjoyed the game and experience, either by themselves or with a group of friends more than anything. A magical time and place with limited knowledge bases, mindsets, and really the most fresh experience of gaming you could possibly have. A time before the internet made any question you had a simple answer by looking it up with a couple taps of your fingertips. It seems like nowadays people are always looking to compete with their peers at the highest levels by either doing the top damage, running dungeons the fastest, finding the #1 builds, and really just having a more competitive nature involved in playing the game for the most part, more than anything. And with Diablo 4 coming out soon, achieving best in slot is going to be incredibly important if you want to do the hardest content.
That's the world boss right there.
You know, nightmare dungeons, world bosses, open world events, you know, all of that to achieve the most unique and best equipment in the game. Now, what makes this so controversial? Well, it's how you actually get this gear that is best in slot. Diablo 4 is going to have a personal loot system, which means loot is going to be generated separately per player, similar to previous Diablo titles. Now, like most games, there is a loot rarity system ranging from normal and magical items, going all the way up to legendary and unique items. Every single player that's not the casual player is going to be asking, what's the best in slot gear, and how in the world do I get it? To understand how to get your best in slot, you need to understand how this new item rarity system will work in Diablo 4. A massive change is going to be the fact that when you acquire a legendary item, you can strip it completely of its legendary aspect or legendary effect at what is called the Oculus.
I don't know, hello, primal items, is that a...
If you do this, it will destroy the legendary entirely and will allow you to place it on any other legendary or rare item of your choosing, turning that rare into a legendary. Now, why this is so important is because rare items and legendary items have a different number of affixes on them. Legendary items contain 5 affix roll slots, or stat bonuses if you played other games. Legendary items contain 5 affix roll slots, but one of those slots automatically has to be taken up by the legendary roll aspect. So they contain 4 affix rolls and 1 aspect slot. On rare items, however, you can have a total of 5 rolls on top of having a legendary roll aspect. So let's say you have a rare item with 5 affix rolls on it. You can take a very powerful legendary aspect of your choice, slap it into your rare item, and now it will have 5 affix rolls and that legendary aspect as well, which you cannot do on a legendary item. So this means that
What they're doing here is they're making it, they want to make rares great again. Is that what they're doing? They want to make rares great again. To where your hunt for legendaries may be more about trying to get the power out of it. True? It's more about trying to get the power out of it than it is. So rares, you know, so legendaries are going to be like, you know, I want to get the power out of it so I can put it on the rare. I think that's, you know, right? I mean, So rares are going to be very, very viable. They will stay viable. I mean, even in I'm trying to think of Last Epic. It's probably, I don't want to compare the two, but we're going to be doing a lot of crafting on rares. Rare lives matter.
Rare items are going to be some of the most sought after items in the game and are 100% going to be part of your best in slot items to chase. Don't forget that you can also trade rare items as
Did you hear what he just said? You can trade rare items? Says who? And how? There is no auction house. I think they're still up in the air on what they want to do on a trade system. They want most people to work for the gear, I think.
well, which makes this a massive game changer also. Now, this way of achieving best in slot has really split the community into a little bit of a controversy. On one hand, you have people who are for the system, which they believe it allows for hardcore players to min-max a lot further, rather than just chucking a best in slot legendary on. That the system is a lot similar to Diablo 2 with it being close to rune wards, which you'll be taking a legendary aspect and putting it on top of a best in slot base. It allows for a lot more build diversity, which is always a good thing for the game's overall health. And they also love that Diablo 4 is taking inspiration from games like Path of Exile, which is honestly a fantastic thing seeing how beloved the franchise actually is. And there's also more content in that you have to grind out rares as well as legendary aspects also. The massive controversy is that some people are all for this system because it almost feels similar to how the rune system was in Diablo 2. But instead of you farming a specific rune, they're just replaced with high roll legendary aspects. And they believe also that there will be way more excitement because any rare that you find can be a massive upgrade with implementing a solid legendary aspect into it.
I don't know. I think I'm going to like the system that they've come up with, rather than you're just hunting for legendaries, you know. Yeah, I think trading is still not like, you know. I like this. I like I want to, if I have the rare, and then you be able to like extract the power or whatever it is off the legendary and put that into the rare. I think that's great. I think I like it. Yeah, welcome to D3 before the market was shut down. Yeah, that was terrible what they did in Diablo 3 by going with a real money auction house. I like the auction house. I didn't like the real money part was the problem. Yeah, I mean, real money. I mean, are you crazy? Who greenlighted that decision? What an idiot.
And that one-dimensional farming is very boring and is incredibly outdated in a game in today's age. Now, the people that are against it think it's a lot more difficult for a casual player base because it isn't as simple as chasing a set loot drop, that there's even more farming than there needs to be with more room for RNG, that the rare item has no real personality or character and it just feels quite stale. And the main point of legendaries in the end game is to just wear it until you find a really good rare and then extract its aspect. The people that are against this system believe that best in slot is not being something that you chase and grind for, it's rather than just being rolled on with RNG. And that it's incredibly tedious, the fact that you have to pick up every single rare you see and hope for that 5 affix slot RNG god piece, and that it's going to be incredibly tedious even...
Okay, wait a minute. The rares in Diablo 4, are you going to be able to roll on those? So those are fixed? So the rares in Diablo 4 are fixed. The affixes are fixed, and they have other systems for the variability. You know, you look at some of these, you look at PoE, you look at Last Epic. You know, I could take an existing rare and do all kinds of stuff with it until I run out of legendary potential, let's say. So it looks to me like the affixes are fixed in Diablo 4. Fixed. So what you see is what you get, and then it has another slot for, you know, for the aspect. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think you craft on your gear in this game. I don't think you craft on your gear, or maybe I don't know. I don't know if there's things you can do to replace one random property. Let's add more health until I run out of this. You know, I don't know. You know. Yeah, you're absolutely, you're going to get more gear, but I think the rares are fixed. The affixes are fixed. They don't change them. I don't know. I don't think you craft on your gear. So you're just looking for, here's a yellow drop. I don't like these stats on any character. You know, get rid of it or whatever I don't know what you do with your gear. So you're just item hunting, and then, yeah, I don't think you craft on gear here. Now, they did say there's gathering, but I don't know what you're gathering for.
Even more when you're searching for that best in slot piece when you only have a couple pieces left to get. Now listen, both sides bring up some very compelling arguments, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, there's always going to be the case in anything you do that if a system isn't broken, why fix it? Or better yet, in this case, why reinvent it? You know, with the whole looking for heavy inspiration for what's been a major success in the past with Diablo 2's rune system, as well as having a very heavy inspiration from Path of Exile, you know, I don't think it's such a bad thing that the game should cater to the more hardcore player base, because at the end of the day, those are the players who are going to stick around and use all these systems for the longevity of the game. And I think it's overall healthier for the game to cater to the long-term dedicated fans. But then there's also this side of me in the back of my head that what if Blizzard, they somehow met in the middle with allowing for there to be a crafting system with its own endgame currency that allows you to re-roll maybe an affix or two on a specific rare item. So then it's not really so heavily RNG based. But something that would scare me about that with Blizzard Entertainment would be with them doing systems with currency locked behind RNG, because I'm not gonna lie, that would be a very great way for them to capitalize and make money off of something like.
So I think what he's saying is yeah, you don't re-roll anything, and it's probably better that they don't have that. I think that's what he's saying. Can someone tell me what RMT means? Just not for me, but for people that are watching on YouTube. What does RMT stand for? I know what NFT stands for. Don't want to gear. Yeah, and the case on is, I mean, this game is about grinding. We want to grind for our gear. I want to grind for the gear. So I think it's more straightforward this way, rather than me getting a piece of gear and then accumulating crafting materials and then, oh, I'll craft on the gear later for this other stuff. I think this is going to, you know, maybe make it a little bit more straightforward. You see a piece of gear, do you like it or not? You know. Tile set's good. You mean real money? Oh, real money transactions. Yeah. You mean between players or between player and the company? Let's see. Tile sets look good. Casual. I'm trying to think of this from a casual perspective. You know, you don't have to craft on gear. You're just going to pick it up. And your modifier is going to come from aspect from a legendary. So what you see is what you get, basically. What do you do if you don't like the gear? That I don't know. Yeah, you guys, hey, nice. Thanks for the help on the acronyms. Just trying to help out people watching on YouTube. Now, real money, like real money auction house, to me is the worst thing. RMT, I think you mean between a player and company. I don't know if that's what you mean.
Like that, and then it would immediately turn into pay to win scenario. You know, maybe they would implement something where you drink a potion, which if you drink it, it would increase the rate at which you get this currency, or you would just flat out get it for free behind something like their battle pass, and that would turn a lot of things sour. I mean, they could also just lock it behind gold, and you could re-roll these affixes for a flat amount of gold, but then there would be a lot of gold dumps, and maybe the player base wouldn't have a lot of money. So honestly, I'm very interested to see how these system turns out in the next couple months and see what Blizzard decides to do.
See, I think that's what he's talking about. He's talking about there's no affix changes in this game. They're fixed. And if you don't, if they're not fixed, he's saying, oh, there might be more opportunities for Blizzard to hit you up for money. You know, he's giving reasons why he thinks it's good this way, that you don't modify your affixes. I think for casual, it seems to me casuals would be better with this, you know. RMT is like buying gold in WoW or Lost Ark from bots. Oh, okay. Real money trade. Yeah, to me, I pay a price for a game. I don't want to pay any more. You know, you wanted me to pay more for your, in the game? You come out with amazing download in the future, which includes new classes, and it's $20, and then I'll take a look at it and see if I want to pay for it. I don't want to be nickel and dime. A lot of games I see, I play, it's a good game, but you know, you can buy a bunch of stuff. The battle pass, my understanding is that the paid for battle pass doesn't give you an advantage in this game. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Better for everybody since Blizzard has Also said all items will drop in all modes of play. You don't have to do PvP. Yeah, that's good. I just want to know, like, if you're doing bosses, world bosses, hopefully, you know, I don't want special gear and stuff coming just from a world boss. Because then you got to farm world bosses. Like, that's what really killed Black Desert Online initially.
So, what side are you on? Are you for the system?
Okay, I think this guy's done. Come back, kids. Thank you for the great videos. You guys just did a great job. And they only have 26,000, well, only. They have 26,000 subs on YouTube, and they definitely deserve more. I hope they grow their channel. They're really good. Here's a video called Legacy Gaming, from Legacy Gaming. We'll take a look at that. Yeah, for me, BDO, my biggest gripe with BDO when I first started playing it was, well, your best gear is tied behind world bosses. And everyone just parks their alts there. And then you switch to your alt, and then everyone's just dancing around the edges hoping not to get one shot. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. That's why I was concerned about world bosses in this game. How punitive is it if you don't do world bosses in this game? I don't know. I don't know. I like this thing about just yellows dropping, and what you see is what you get, instead of all the crafting materials you would be accumulating to craft on them. So I think it's a little bit more straightforward and simple. And Diablo, to me, is a game that you know, it should not try to be Path of Exile. It should be a little bit more casual friendly. That's what Diablo is for me. It should be a little bit more casual friendly than Path of Exile. Yeah, that's right. BDO, there is no other choice in BDO. Your end game is either to accumulate mountains of silver and buy gear. And then, you know, what's ironic about Black Desert Online is it has the best life skills in the history of gaming that I've ever seen. Like, it's not even close. But what else is there, you know?
No matter what RPG you're playing, progression is king. And when it comes to Diablo 4, the team is trying out a few new things to push players forward. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're breaking down important progression systems within Diablo 4. Video games are all about the hunt. It's not a question of destination or journey, it's a matter of understanding that the journey is quite literally what developers design their games around. The team behind Diablo 4 clearly understands this basic concept, as there are a number of new and refreshed systems in their upcoming game that will keep players constantly hunting for ways to push their power level forward. I'll admit, trying to wrap your head around all of these systems for the first time can be a bit of a bear, so let's take it slow and tackle one thing at a time. Keep in mind, some of the specific stats and numbers we talk about might change come launch. Let's start with Renown, an account-wide progression system that not only impacts the character you're currently playing on,
account-wide,
but benefits your entire roster of heroes. This system is designed with alts in mind and provides a direct way for players with ambitions to play multiple characters, a way to make that process a bit easier. Renown is a zone-wide reputation system. Each of the major zones have 5 levels of renown, and by completing different activities, a player can unlock specific account-wide rewards. Discovering areas within a zone rewards 2 renown, finding an altar of Lilith rewards 5 renown, unlocking a waypoint rewards 10 renown, completing side quests rewards 15 renown, completing dungeons rewards 20 renown, and liberating a stronghold rewards 50 renown. Each time you reach a new renown, 10 renown, completing side quests rewards 15 renown, completing dungeons rewards 20 renown, and liberating a strong...
I like this kind of thing in a game. I was thinking about Lost Ark. There was some stuff in Lost Ark. For like the zones or something, all these, like, so many different ways to complete, to literally complete a zone. And there was some books or something like that to where you get extra bumps and stuff. There was some good systems there. So this one here again is going to be, you know, as a completionist, look at the things you could do if you want to be a completionist in a zone. You get renown, and it's for your entire account. Yeah, I think there was something in Lost Ark that I thought was just like, oh my God, when it came to, like, you know, supporting having multiple classes, and that's why I was kind of surprised that they actually gave you 5 character slots for free.
Stronghold rewards 50 renown. Each time you reach a new renown milestone, you'll receive 2 rewards. At each renown level, you'll be able to claim bonus XP and 10,000 gold per character. You'll also receive that account-wide reward without needing to claim anything. Level 1 requires 80 renown and rewards 1 skill point. Level 2 requires 180 renown and rewards 1 potion charge. Level 3 requires 300 renown and rewards 1 skill point. Level 4 requires 500 renown and rewards 1 skill point. And finally, level 5 requires 800 renown and rewards 4 paragon points.
And you could do this on all your characters.
The next aspect of progression worth talking about is tied to one of Diablo's most important systems, loot. This is called the Codex of Power, and while we briefly touched on it in our recent video talking about Diablo 4's various selling points to players, it's worth going deeper. The Codex is essentially a collection of most of the legendary aspects in the game. Legendary aspects are special powers that can be imbued on items to greatly influence how a player and their playstyle function in.
Okay. Legendary aspect. You get a legendary piece of equipment. It's got affixes and it's got an aspect. You destroy the piece, you extract the aspect from the legendary, destroying the item. The power of that aspect is located here in the Codex. Did I get that right? These can then be applied to your rares that have a slot for the power. Right? In Diablo Immortal is like that. So, like I said, the more we talk, the more we see Diablo Immortal here. Yeah, and Kaysen is right. Lost Ark went over the top. I'm thinking now about Lost Ark, the cards. There was some, like, amazing stuff in there. That'll make even non-optimal gear useful, yes. Now, this would be one aspect for each piece of gear. So I got 4 yellow pieces of gear with some amazing stats. I get legendaries, I start breaking them down. And I start getting aspect powers. Then I go into my codex and I'm like, I want this one on this piece of gear, this one on this piece of gear, this one on this piece of gear. Then you start building, you start putting your build out. I think the most critical thing here that I realized today is that, and we're pretty confident now, your yellow gear, the affixes on all your gear cannot be changed. It's fixed. The affixes are fixed. This is the variability here would be the aspects. I think we kind of got that ironed down. So that would be, you know, I'm starting to think that's good. That's good. It's a little bit simpler and straightforward, you know. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then you break that. That's a good point. I may want this on my piece of equipment, but that legendary piece of equipment where this came from was not even used by my class. But this power, I want it for my other class. Now, is this account wide? Is the Codex of Power account wide? That's, you know what I mean? Or is that like not even a question worth asking? It would be like, of course it's account wide. I don't know. Is it account wide? It has to be. No? I don't know. This has to be account wide. This aspect system.
Combat. To unlock each aspect, a player must first complete a specific dungeon for the first time. According to the developers, there are nearly 150 dungeons in the game, so putting 2 and 2 together, yeah, there's a lot of aspects to collect.
Wait. Is aspect related to the dungeon you completed, or is it related to a piece of gear you get? Now I'm confused. Codex would be too. Okay, it is. Okay. He just said the codex is based on... Okay, sorry. The codex is for completing dungeons. But I thought you broke down a piece of gear and then, you know... I thought that we saw this in the last video. Okay, unlocked by completing Wretched... Okay, what about the piece of gear, the legendary gear you break down? What is that thing? Is that a different power that's stored somewhere else? I thought you get a legendary piece of gear, you break it down, and it had a power that you can take and use it on a rare. That was on the last video. There are 2 legendary gear powers that could be combined in crafting. Yeah, there was something in the last video about breaking down a legendary. Yeah, don't worry, F. I thought we got this codex of breaking down gear. It's right here. So these are unlocked in dungeons. But that last video, the guy was talking about breaking down gear. I don't know which video it was. This right here. What is this?
5 affix rolls on it. You can take a very powerful legendary
This here. Knock down enemies, take 46% less damage. So here's the aspect over here. Is this a combining system?
aspect of your choice. Slap it into your rare.
What? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The codex is a UI passive system that you get from completing a dungeon. It's in addition to this. It's in addition to this. So, I got a yellow piece of gear. I get a legendary. I can extract, knock down enemies and slot it into this piece of gear. Thank you for the follow, Foreman. Appreciate that. Okay, so we got 2 systems here. Here's a legendary piece of gear with knock down enemies take 46% additional damage. I want to extract this power. I destroy the legendary, extract the power, and I guess you got to tell it what piece of gear to put it in. Maybe? And here's a yellow... Well, whatever this is. This is called an imprint aspect. Oh, look! Item? Why is there a codex of power here? And here's the... Oh, it's an ore. Codex of power or this. So the codex, so that when you finish a dungeon, that special ability goes into the codex of power. You don't get it yet. When you're going to take your piece of gear and you're going to decide, do I want something I got from the codex of power, or do I want to use the aspect from a legendary piece of gear? So it's ore. It's account wide. Now what happens when you break down this piece of this legendary? See, look, this is an ore. These 2 are an ore. This one gets stored in some global place. Yeah, they're permanent unlocks. This one here, I wonder if you have to keep farming legendary gear or something. You know, it doesn't get stored globally for you to pick in the future. The codex probably gets stored in where you can pick in the future. So I guess here we're going to take our yellow, and then we're going to say, do we want to go from the Codex of Power if we have anything? Or are we going to take a legend? I don't know how the system is going to work. Once you break down a legendary, is it like use it now? You got to use it now. I don't know. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be stronger, the legendary gear. But this is an ore. Then you're imprinting one of these two things on your item. Your item, the affixes are fixed. They're fixed. As far as we know, you pick up a yellow, it's got fixed items. It has another slot. We're going to imprint something on that slot. That imprint is going to be either from the Codex of Power or from a legendary item. Once we do the imprint, I think it's permanent. Is it permanent? We can't change it again. I don't know. But regardless. I need to see what happens to this legendary. We know when you do it, it goes away. But the power, it looks like it's a one-time use. So you're going to hold your legendaries until you want to make a decision on what to do with your yellow item. Well, I don't like anything in the Codex of Power. So I'm going to use this legendary I've been holding. So I'm going to break down the legendary. It gets consumed. And then that's going to come in here and I'm going to pick this one and then do the imprint. I don't know. How's it going, Northside? Thanks for coming in. We're just going over Diablo 4 stuff today. We're doing React A&D to videos. So I think we have a more clear understanding of what's going on here. And then we will, when we run into this during the gameplay, we'll be able to, you know, it won't seem so unfamiliar.
To unlock each aspect, a player must first complete a specific dungeon for the first time. According to the developers, there are nearly 150 dungeons in the game, so putting 2 and 2 together, yeah, there's a lot of aspects to collect. Aspects fall into a few different categories, and while some are generic and can be applied to any class, there are also class-specific aspects that are tailor-made to enhance the performance of certain class abilities. Aspect categories break down into defensive, offensive, resource, utility, and mobility. The real beauty of this system is its flexibility. Say you find a rare weapon out in the world. The stats are perfect, but you want to enhance it with a specific legendary aspect. You can take that to a vendor called the Occultist, enhance it with an aspect, thus transforming that item into a brand new legendary.
So the item becomes a legendary once you do this. So the affixes all stay the same. You're going to imbue it. Now he's doing it from the Codex of Power, not from a legendary item that was picked up. This turns into a legendary. Can you take that legendary? No, anyway, forget that.
Tailor-made for your playstyle. Likewise, you can take an existing legendary weapon and swap out the unique aspect, replacing it with another aspect of your choosing. Keep in mind
you can take a legendary weapon and swap out the aspect with another one of your choosing. So if you like the roll on the legendary, you can change the aspect that's on the legendary because you want to use the legendary. All the affixes are fixed. No changing to the affixes. So even on legendaries, you can change. Now your yellow becomes a legendary. So I assume that legendary now you could change that aspect too if you want. Complete a dungeon for the first time. Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, because every dungeon has a unique aspect, right? And the codex is account wide. So you complete a dungeon on one character, you get the aspect for it, and you don't ever get it again for that dungeon because that aspect is unique to the dungeon. Yeah, we need account wide stuff. Gotta have it. So once your rare becomes legendary, then you could according to him, anything that's a legendary, you can put a new aspect onto. So my yellow became a legendary, and I imbued it with this one thing. Well, I found a better legendary somewhere else, or I got something from a dungeon that I like better than the aspect on this thing, which is now a legendary. I should be able to just lay that in now on this legendary. I still get to keep the stats. So we're converting yellows to legendaries, and then replacing the aspects on the legendaries as we move through the game potentially. I don't know. And then there's two ways to get stuff in there. Through Codex of Power, by completing dungeons, and then we pick from a list or whatever, or from other legendaries that we find. And I guess the theory is the legendaries that we find, are those going to be better? Are those better? I don't even know. But anyway, we just want to know what the process is.
There are two types of aspects. Codec aspects, which can be applied indefinitely to items, and extracted aspects, which are ripped from pieces of gear and are consumed after use. It's also important to note that the process of doing all of this is called imbuing.
I think what he's saying is the Codex of Power, you can use it, it never goes away. Once you've unlocked a Codex of Power buff, it stays in the Codex and you can use it forever. I think what he's saying is when you use a legendary to extract its power and put it into either another legendary or a yellow, you cannot use that. It's gone. The item is gone, and that power that came in cannot be, it doesn't go anywhere. It's not stored anywhere to be used again in the future. It's one and done. So you've got that legendary item, you break it down, let's say, you take the power out, either put it into a yellow or re-imbue a legendary. It doesn't go to some codex. It's gone. It's only going to be used this one time and it's stuck here. If you overlay this with something else, you can't get it back. You have to go get that legendary again or whatever. So that's the difference between the two. One of them is persistent and one of them isn't.
And can only be done once per item. Now there is a catch. This system is incredibly powerful, but without some limitations, it would eventually completely negate the magic of searching for that perfect piece of loot. The two restrictions are individual effects from a legendary aspect will always have the lowest possible rolls, and not all legendary aspects are available through the Codex of Power. With all that in mind, I think it's worth looking at a few examples of aspects you can unlock with the Codex of Power system. Rapid Aspect is a general aspect that increases the attack speed of your basic skills by 23%. Aspect of Might, another general aspect, gives your basic skills 25% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Now, those might seem a little bland, and I'd agree, which is why you'll also want to hunt down the class-specific aspects like Brawler's Aspect, a barbarian aspect that explodes enemies if they're killed within 2 seconds of being damaged by a kick or charge, dealing damage to enemies nearby. Or Unyielding Command, a necromancer aspect that grants your minions plus 70% attack speed and 90% damage reduction while Army of the Dead is active.
Ooh.
If it wasn't clear before, hopefully it is now.
So this is per item. This is per item. So if I have 4 great rare items with great affixes, each one of them gets an aspect. Each one of them gets an aspect, correct? So if that's true, I mean, that's huge. That's really big. It's per item.
Codex of Power is a central pillar of progression in the game, but it's merely a piece of the overall build crafting within Diablo 4. If we change gears a bit,
Skill tree? Is that... Oh, the skill tree. I forgot about the skill tree.
there are two additional progression systems we need to break down. The first being skill trees. It's no secret that ARPGs are built on outfitting your hero with a wide array of skills that are then augmented, usually via a skill tree. In Diablo 4, this system has gone through
Whoa! The Tree of Life.
a number of iterations since development started.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, but this is called a skill tree. So I got to see how this works, but it's for skill. This is not, these are like skill specific, I guess.
But the team has seemingly landed on a traditional hub and spoke model. As players level up and also gain renown, they'll earn skill points and have the ability to place those points in their specific class tree.
Oops.
Players will gain a skill point up until level 50, at which point the Paragon system opens up. Add on to that the 15 skill points players can obtain by leveling up renown in each of the 5 major zones, and you're looking at a total of around 64 skill points. Keep in mind, this is all subject to change based on how the team awards points. The tree itself is rather easy to understand once you get a hold of a few basic tenets. The larger squares are your skills.
The larger squares are your skills. Let me guess, these are augments to those skills as you move beyond that.
By allocating a point in a skill, you're not only unlocking the ability, but also can further upgrade it by allocating additional points.
Okay, so this is where you're actually, okay, skill points, unlock skills here, and then, but it looks very like, you don't have a lot of, well, you know, you do eventually get options. So you do this one, and then you can do these two, or you know, either or whatever.
Off of each skill is a series of smaller nodes, and these are direct improvements to the skill they're attached to. You'll notice that these smaller nodes branch into 2 paths. Players will have to choose which side of the upgrade path they want to go down, as they'll not be able to allocate points into every skill minor upgrade. Hopefully this means making those decisions and the upgrades in turn will provide substantial changes to the functionality of an ability, which should make build crafting a bit more unique. According to the developers, the skill tree will only be filled out about 30 to 40% by the time you have access to all of your skill points. To me, this is fantastic as it solves for one of the biggest issues in ARPGs, build diversity.
Yeah, build diversity. You want, like, if Jan is doing a skill called Fireball, you know, and I'm doing it too. We want, you know, your Fireball is going to be different than my Fireball, you know, depending upon how we pick stuff out. That's the same. I mean, Last Epic is like, you know, a large part of Last Epic is building out your unique play on the skills.
Since Diablo 4 is putting so much stock in player progression via skills and the Paragon system, that means players will have more direct control over their playstyle, and it won't be completely dictated by items. It's worth pointing out that players can respec at any time, either by tweaking individual nodes or refunding all points and starting over. There is a cost associated with changing around your skill tree, and according to one developer, at some point it'll be easier to re-level a character than continue to respec them. That's a bit concerning, but could just be an embellishment for dramatic effect. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Finally, there is the Paragon system, and this system further allows for that sense of individual experimentation when it comes to build crafting. If the skill tree was the foundation, the Paragon system is everything else, providing you with a primary way to keep furthering your power level. You won't be unlocking additional abilities with this system, rather amplifying the build you created with the skill tree and pushing it to its furthest possible limit. Once you reach level 50, the first Paragon board opens up. From level 50 onward, you'll receive 1 Paragon point every 1/4 level, totaling 4 points per level. Starting at the center of the board, working outwards, you'll be able to place 1 point on the board so long as the tiles you're allocating points into are connected to that central tile. There are 4 types of tiles on a Paragon board. Common tiles give you a passive stat boost. Magic tiles provide a slightly better, more diverse bonus. Rare tiles are really transformative, influencing your build in a substantial way. These will always have some sort of stat prerequisite before becoming active. And then there are legendary tiles. There is 1 per board, and they're always located at the center of the board. As you might expect, these offer the best bonuses.
Ooh. Paragon is count wide. So when you create a new character, you can start allocating Paragon points. So Paragon level is account wide.
As you fill out your Paragon board, you can expand.
That's actually, I mean, that's actually really important, because when you create and level 1 character, your first character, your first class, your next class should be easier because of the work you did on your first one.
Towards the edge and a special gate tile. These gates will allow you to expand onto a new board, and this is the secret to accessing legendary tiles. Before placing that new board, you will have the opportunity to preview and rotate the new board for better optimization. We know that the max level in Diablo 4 is 100. If we do some quick math, level 50 to 100 will net players 200 Paragon points. Plus, you'll receive an additional 20 by capping renown in each of the 5 major zones, giving you a total of 220 Paragon.
Yeah, you don't get access to all the Paragon levels until you get to level cap. Yeah, I mean, this is Endgame. So if you create a new character, you like, I think in Diablo 3, you got access to those points right away, didn't you? Like from one character to another. This one, you're going to have to wait on another character. True, I think that's what Jane's trying to say. You don't get access to this until you get to level 50 or whatever it is. Holy frick, dude.
Points. There's one more thing to consider, and that's how glyphs factor into the equation. Glyphs are found throughout Sanctuary and come in different varieties. When socketed into their special tiles, they look at the surrounding tiles and provide different bonuses based on how many of those tiles you have points allocated into. For example, this rare exploit glyph here has a medium radius size, grants 40.5% bonus to all nodes within range, and grants a unique buff. For every 10 dexterity purchased within the radius, you deal 13.5 increased damage to vulnerable targets. So as you can see, it's not just about the tiles, it's about glyphs as well. And you
This is crazy.
can dramatically impact a character's power if you're strategic about what glyph you use and how to activate them on your Paragon board. If you can wrap your head around these aspects of Diablo 4's progression, then you'll be in great shape come launch on June 6th. With the development team approaching Diablo as a live service, I have no doubt additional systems will eventually be added into the mix, which is why understanding these core progression systems are so important. Anyways, friends, this is just
Between the classes, let's just take Necromancer, which we looked at yesterday. With everything you can do with it. And then you add on the gear, the progression systems, how you get everything, up and then to the paragons, the aspects, the build diversity. You know, it's like snowflakes. Everyone's build is going to be slightly different than the next. Yeah, then that's a brilliant question. If Paragon points are capped in Diablo 4, what is the infinite endgame progression? Now that the thing is, dungeons can be, the difficulty for dungeons can be infinite, according to what I heard earlier on one of the videos. There's got to be some point where they no longer have gear, like the stats on the gear have an end at some point. So they will have to come out with new content, new battle passes, you know what I mean? So you don't have an infinite. It's not infinite. Yeah, I think Diablo 4 is going to stay Diablo 4. And if you look at the difference in time between 3 and 4, that was over 10 years. I think those days are over. I think Diablo 4 is Diablo 4 and that's it. And they'll just continue to maintain this game. But hopefully they've given you enough to where, like, you're not going to run out of things to do and shoot for, because they will be coming out with new content and new difficulty levels also, and new chapters. They might come out with an endgame chapter that they'll come out with new dungeons too, and so I mean, and new zones. What do I know? I don't know. Just talking.
Handled in Path of Exile. I'm sure we've all played games, especially online and RPG games, that feel fresh and fun on the first playthrough, and maybe even for a short while.
Okay, this video is 25 minutes. I wonder if we should possibly wait till tomorrow morning. Because we're probably, I don't know when the game's coming up, what time. So if I come in early, you know.
Welcome to WKALI
thank you, Porp,
Radio.
for the follow. Appreciate that. What we're going to try, it's 9 a.m. PST, yeah. What we're going to try to do here, and I'll tell you already, this game is much more group focused.
Hey now.
Than Diablo 3. So, Moonraven, if they have clans, whenever there is, we need people to play with. And not all the time, but grouping up is going to be pretty important. And I'd rather group up with people I know than pugs in the game. But we're going to have to pug too. And I'm just going to assume the dungeons have a party finder right at the entrance. So, so definitely we're going to be recruiting, whatever. And this guy, his last thing on the last video, he said, join my clan, whatever that means. So, yeah, we definitely want people to play with and stuff like that. Even if they have guilds and you're in someone else's guild, let's say. We still need people to play with, like, especially like during my stream and stuff like that. But I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity to pug in the game also. So, Endgame explained, redefining itemization. So I've got some new looks at what we already saw, which will clarify, and different content creators. Guys, I'll never be able to make a thumbnail like this. Maybe I just don't care enough, you know? I'm just not going to put in the effort to make these kind of thumbnails on these things. Brilliant thumbnails. Yeah, I don't know how the servers work. I just assume I don't even know. Are they going to do the same thing that Immortal does? Multiple servers within a region? They might. We may have a problem. Most of the people I know might not even live in this country. Especially when I stream. So I don't know. That's right. Yep. And that's kind of what they want, Jan. They want this. They want to stress test their servers. How's it going, Alkin? Yeah, and you got people from the EU and stuff. So I don't know how the server stuff's going to work, but hopefully we can. Great. Work is good. I don't know. There's to be a lot of discovery, but between yesterday and today, look at like the thing. There's more clarity. More clarity. in how this game is going to work. And then you got, you know, the skill tree there for picking skills and pushing it to there. So it's not just gear. Okay? So it's not so gear heavy dependent. There are multiple systems to come into your build. It's not so gear heavy dependent. That's a takeaway. It's a takeaway for me, for sure. Yeah, is it everything we're hoping for? I don't know. All we're doing is watching videos. We'll see. I'm not... I haven't been waiting 10 years for this game. I mean, I had fun with Diablo 3. I am not a... You know, my life doesn't revolve around isometric ARPGs. It doesn't. So... You know, I'm just kind of like, I'm just taking things as they come and see what's going on. Everyone should have learned, because of Cyberpunk, not to get overhyped about any video game. Because of Cyberpunk, and then before that, Fallout 76. The hype around Cyberpunk, and I never bought into it because I just don't like playing that kind of game. I couldn't believe the hype around Cyberpunk. I mean, that was just stupid. They did a countdown stream to a reveal years ago for Cyberpunk. There was over 400,000 people waiting on the stream for the reveal. They did a countdown, a 24-hour countdown. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, then you had No Man's Sky as well. That's another story. What I'm afraid is Starfield. After we look at the deep dive of Starfield, I may end up saying, this just looks like another version of No Man's Sky.
Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to discuss how Diablo 4's approach to itemization is in many ways revolutionary, but also sticks to the tried and true systems we love from past.
Okay, here's a rare. Okay, magic. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for the rares. I never played WoW. We're going to be farming rares. And then we're going to imbue them. And turn them into legendaries. What's this? Unique. What game is this?
Diablo games. After all, Diablo 2 is the game that set the standard for so...
Stop confusing me! This looks like...
many games that came after it, many proclaiming it had near perfect itemization, and to this day, many... What we haven't seen live yet is that item tooltips are actually going to automatically adjust themselves when calculating lucky hit chance depending on what skill is equipped. Now, the reason for this is because different skills have different proc coefficients, and so by changing your skills while hovering over an item, you can see in real time how that changes your...
Okay, so the tooltip on the item itself is going to change. Grim Dawn has that too? Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to decide, guys. So, some of this is going to just be reinforcing what we already went over today. It's not, you know, nothing. Let me just skip a little bit.
Now, this is a great change, which means players might find it harder to find exactly what they're looking for because of the changes coming to trade. Now, back in Diablo 2, trading was a great way to collect all of your best items. You might find the best weapon for Necromancer, but you're not a Necromancer, and so you want to trade it for one of your best items. Or maybe you'll just make a Necromancer later because you found that item. That's a way you could do it too. But for the purpose of this example, let's say you want to trade the item, right? Well, in Diablo 4, trading is going to be somewhat restricted. Certain items will be bound to your character and untradeable the moment you pick them up.
Okay, that's what we're looking for. So there is going to be items that are bound and some that can be traded. Just like Diablo Immortal and other games work this way as well.
meaning they are bound to your character and cannot be traded. This is called bind on pickup, and this is a system in World of Warcraft preventing certain powerful items from being traded. Developers have stated the main source for items should be from killing monsters, which I tend to agree with. I'm hopeful though that there will be a way to exchange items and equipment of value with other players in some form, and I think there will be since the Diablo community is so creative. Now, moving on to what items actually do in Diablo 4. Affixes have always been exciting and a core part of Diablo. Now, one affix in particular from Diablo 2 that was not in Diablo 3 is finally returning to the Diablo universe, and that is the plus skill rank affix. Like in Diablo 2, different skills roll on specific item slots, so
Oh, like +4 to something. I mean, Last Epic has this as well. It would be bound. I think it's bind on pickup account wide, not bind to character. Because you could put it in the stash and use it. I don't think there is any bound on character. You could put it in the stash and then have your alt use it.
for example, some items only appearing on certain weapons, like in Diablo 2, Wolf's Head.
Account bound. Account bound. I believe I don't think there's going to be bound to character in Diablo 4. I don't think so.
Had helms, had druid skills, staves had sorceress skills, and what I'm actually interested to see here is if we can get other classes skills. So for example, in Diablo 2 Act 3, you could buy a Staff of Teleport, and that was amazing. It just enabled you to get around so much easier, right? You ran into a dead end, well, now you can teleport and get right back on your way. But teleport was a sorceress skill, and so being able to have that as a class other than sorceress was really, really cool. So I hope that's something that can happen again in Diablo 4 with these plus skill rank affixes, which are coming back. Okay, moving on to item qualities, which Diablo 2 established years and years ago and is still used in so many modern games, including Diablo 4. Item qualities include normal, magic, rare, legendary, set, and unique. Normal items will have no affixes. Magic items will have affixes such as plus 7% resource regeneration. Rare items will have affixes that are usually better than magic items and can also have legendary affixes.
Is this a card from Diablo 4 or not? Why are there sockets here? Like, what is the... There's no gems in Diablo 4.
Legendary items modify skills like in Diablo 3.
Why did it say empty socket? Is it for... Like, you can only have one aspect. So, like, what are the sockets for?
But unlike Diablo 3, Blizzard has emphasized that they're not going to rain from the sky, meaning they're going to be much more rare, even though there will be hundreds of legendary items in the game. Now, this is awesome because being able to spend years and years playing Diablo 4 and still not find like certain items is what I'm looking forward to. So I hope they put a ton of items that are rare in the game and it just takes a long time to eventually see them. I think it's going to be a really fun way to explore Diablo 4 and make finding legendaries so much more meaningful. Now, legendaries will fall into a couple different categories, like generic, which any class can find useful. Something like enemies hit by your basic skills increase the damage of your next core skill by 20%. Or they'll be skill specific, which only a certain class like sorceress could find useful. Something like each time chain lightning bounces, gain 6 mana. Set items aren't going to be in the game at launch, but will be added post-launch.
No set items at launch. I want to know what those frickin' sockets were for.
And will be less powerful or equal in power to legendary items and are really just meant to allow players to live out certain class fantasies or act as an introduction to the class, not so much as an endgame best in slot item like
set pieces have been demoted greatly.
like they are in Diablo 3, where every season has you going straight for your class set, which sort of destroyed the player's opportunity for any sort of equipment creativity.
It did.
The last type of item quality is uniques. These are items which you design your build around that have fixed affixes and are heavily tied to class-specific powers and themes. Very excited to see what some of those.
I didn't know, like, so there's something above yellow called a unique. And again, I assume these affixes are fixed. And then you can imbue this card. Does it become a legendary then? This guy's introducing some things in here that were not on the other videos. Cannot salvage, druid, limit one equipped. Do you see this? You can only have one unique equipped, I guess, is what this is saying. Durability? Hello? What do you mean durability?
Those are. I'm also really excited to see that the item qualities appear to be a mixture of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. I personally love Diablo 2 item qualities the best, but I think Diablo
Empty sockets. Don't know what that's for.
3 legendaries were actually a lot of fun too, in the way that they could.
Unique pants. Empty socket. There's got to be gems in this game. Here's the aspect, no? What is this?
Augment your character and sort of inspire you to play in a certain way. Now I've seen the new inventory and you can actually see here it's organized into 4 different tabs. You've got equipment, consumables, quest items, and aspects. This can be helpful to stay organized, but it also hints at the possibility that we may be looting a lot of quest items and holding on to a lot of consumables in Diablo 4. After all, if we have an entire tab for that, which is the same size as the equipment tab, then there should be the same amount of consumables as equipment theoretically and quest items. So I think this is a hint that, you know, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're picking up. You know, maybe you're going to collect like 20 or 40 different things for quests, and so you need a whole nother tab for it. But then again, the inventory could just be completely redesigned in the future. We'll have to see. It would be cool if you could put equipment in all the tabs, right? If that's the way you want to go. That's sort of interesting seeing this tab feature, and kind of interested to see how it fills up as we play the game. Now, one of the biggest surprises to me is that Diablo 4 developers have actually stated that the strength of your character is not going to come mostly from items, and I think this is an important point. Blizzard developers have stated their goal is for your power to come from a mixture of sources like skill upgrades, endgame systems like the Paragon board, leveling, and then finally items as well. Now this is pretty surprising because items are so central to almost all Blizzard RPGs and most RPGs in general. Hunting for loot is just a core part of these games, and if items are only a part of that, I'm wondering what the other parts are that could possibly compete for your attention in the end game, because you're constantly always seeking loot. So I'm curious, you know, are you just going to go out and grind XP instead of looking for loot, or is loot just going to be sort of...
Yeah, that's interesting. Are you just going to go grind XP eventually for paragons instead of hunting for loot? You know, how's that balance going to work? Because they don't want loot to be, they don't want items to be the, you know, like a complete dominant force.
Of a side objective. I'm interested to see how they end up pulling this off in the end. Another big part of Diablo 4 is actually going to be your mounts, finding new...
How come? I forgot all about this. We're going to need mounts for sure.
And rare mounts beyond just horses is actually going to be part of the Diablo 4 experience. So I can only imagine, are we going to be riding demons? And what's interesting about mounts is that mounts themselves can even equip items which grant stats and change.
Okay, they're not just going to be mounts. This is what I wanted to know. Can we do more with these mounts to help us? Or are they just to travel around to get to the next world boss? Level in Paragon is capped and items are a minor thing. What would be the end game to chase? The end game? I don't know. I think there's enough, like, I think they will keep bringing out content before you have a chance to reach the proverbial end game. Like MMOs do. There's always something new that they're working on. That comes out. Now you got a whole bunch of stuff to work on. So it's like a typical MMO kind of thing.
Their appearance or can make them even move faster. Now I'm curious to see how big a role mounts are going to play in Diablo 4.
Yeah,
and to be totally honest, I'm not too excited about the mounts. I mean, moving faster is great, but it does sound like they're going to be a pretty big part of the game, and it could be sort of like your companion in a way, since there's not going to be mercenaries or companions like there were in Diablo 3 and 2. So perhaps mounts is sort of taking that place. I'm also curious how mounts are going to affect PvP.
When are you going to get your act together?
Yep. Now he said how are mounts going to work in PvP. They're probably disabled when you get to the PvP zone. Maybe. The other thing is if you're riding your mount around, like, what about the aggro? What about all the mobs you're missing? To me, the mount is just because you need to get somewhere. You need to get somewhere quick because there's a world boss or an event. And you better get over there before everyone kills the world boss. You better get on that mount and get going. And you're stressing out to get over there. And then you get there and it's like, oh, they already killed the world boss. That's why, another reason why world bosses just suck. We'll have to wait and see how it's done here. Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's like, These guys want to do these open world games. Oh, we want to emulate the real world. The real world. There'll be stuff going on all over the place. Even New World tries it now. There's monsters. There's a special event. These monsters are spawning. You don't know where they're spawning yet. It'll show up on the map. Shows up on the map. Everyone's freaking out. Like, how do I get there? Let's go here. Got to transfer there. Get over there. I hope two things. First of all, I hope it's not completed already. I hope people didn't take it down already. The other side of the concern is, I hope there's other people there. Otherwise, what am I going to do? I came all the way over here and I'm sitting there staring at the monster and at my watch like, where is everyone? You ain't going to do it alone. See what the problem I have with like these world bosses and stuff? It's like it all sounds good on paper.
Is it going to be sort of whoever gets their dismount attack off first is going to get a big advantage? Or how soon after taking damage can you mount up again?
Unless a world boss shows up and you can click a button and you fast travel to a special marker that's just out of range of where the boss is. You know.
In PvP, so I wonder if it's going to be a lot of like remounting a lot in PvP, but hopefully Blizzard finds a good way to balance mounts and make it a fun system that works. Now, another big innovation in Diablo 4 is that creature types have an increased chance of dropping certain items. So for example, bandits, they're going to have an increased chance to drop maces, crossbows.
Monster types will have increased chances to drop class-specific gear. Potentially?
And boots, well, drowned, which is sort of an undead creature that came out of the ocean, are going to have an increased chance to drop pants.
Okay, not class-specific gear. Mob types may have an increased chance to drop a particular type of gear. Some mobs will potentially drop boots relative to other mobs. Other mobs may drop a particular type of weapon, or a weapon instead of boots. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Other monster families like Skeleton, Fallen, and others will have their own increased drop chances, which hasn't been revealed yet. I think this is an interesting change. If you're looking for a specific piece of gear, you're going to go, okay, Skeletons drop gloves. I'm going to go to this crypt and just farm for my best in slot glove, and sort of that sort of is how it's decided.
God, this game is dark. Is there like is every area like this?
right? So I'm interested to see if that's sort of the way we're going to do it, if that's their intention behind making certain monster families drop certain things, but we're going to have to see ultimately how it turns out. When it comes to weapons, what I find interesting coming in Diablo 4 is that each weapon type is going to have inherent characteristics which can't be modified. So for example, bows, they're going to do plus X% damage to distant enemies. Staves are going to do plus X% damage to crowd-controlled enemies. So it's going to sound like this has really, it sounds like this really has the potential to control how you play the game. For example, if you're using a bow, you would almost want to be shooting at enemies that aren't even on your screen anymore, right? Like an entire screen away to maximize your damage bonus by using a bow. Or if you are wielding a staff, you're going to want to choose all crowd controlling skills to ensure you're always getting that plus damage. So I think it's going to depend on how much plus damage.
Well, he's talking about the skill tree. But he's talking about the skill tree. The drop, everything on that drop is fixed except the aspect. I'm going to assume. Yeah, you don't want I just thought it would be random everywhere or whatever. But
Actually, it ends up being.
yeah, you're right. If it was, people would just say, hey, here's the best grind spot, just go here, and you don't need to go anywhere else. Very good point, Gale. They don't want that. So you need gloves, go after this monster type. So that is just one grind spot.
To determine if players actually completely change their play style depending on what weapon they're using, but it also does feed in sort of the realism, the fantasy, the immersion of using your weapon properly, right? If you're using a bow, you probably shouldn't be in melee range, and so this sort of encourages players to use their weapons in a way that is logical. So I think this could be a cool system. Now, another new feature coming to Diablo is dungeons, and what's cool about these dungeons is that you can actually farm specific item slots of gear. So for example, gloves. I imagine when you mouse over a dungeon entrance, you might get information on it, sort of like a tooltip on what specific item slot is.
He said, I imagine that if you roll over, you might get a tooltip telling you something. So I think we have someone here that's never played the game, is just basically, I'm trying to think like this video has 575,000 views on it. What do you mean, I imagine?
Going to drop off the boss or the monsters in the dungeon, so you can decide accordingly if this is a dungeon you want to do. Now, this is an interesting idea, but I'm wondering how it will be implemented. It could be cool to know exactly what item slot drops and then seek it out, but it also kind of takes away from the randomness and the surprise of finding an item you didn't even know about. Of course, over time, everyone sort of learns where to farm certain items, so it might not be a bad idea to just show that in game so that you don't have to sort of look it up online or something like that. So I think it could be cool. Now, another new change coming in Diablo 4 is that...
Now, maybe he did play the game. I think all the content creators that played this game, they probably were released from NDA so that they could make videos.
That primary stat main effects will be different depending on the class.
Well, isn't this kind of standard? In Diablo Immortal, it was random. There are better areas than others because the mob count and short distance between spots. Okay.
So for example, strength is going to increase a barbarian's skill damage, but it's going to have actually no effect on sorceresses. Each stat also has a secondary bonus, which is going to actually be the same for all classes. So
Primary stat? I'm not going to dig,
Looking at
like,
the strength
we're not going to
example,
worry too
one
much about,
strength will
like,
increase
digging
armor
deep.
by 1 regardless of your class. So this system makes sense, and it kind of allows for more deliberate choices to be made based on your stats. I've started to notice that Diablo 4 is almost trying to be a little bit more realistic, like with how weapons work and things like that. In more recent news, one of the most massive changes coming to Diablo 4 that we just learned about in the developer live stream at the end of February is that armor will also absorb elemental damage taken, which was only possible through resistances in past Diablo games. Armor will provide 50% of its reduction to elemental damage as well as its regular reduction to physical damage. So a max level character can get about 40% damage reduction to physical.
Oh yeah, this image is from the dev stream. This image.
Damage through armor, and therefore a 20% reduction to elemental damage through armor as well. Now I actually enjoyed the separation between elemental damage and physical damage, so this change I don't know if I like. Of course, it helps newer players to not die instantly to cold damage when they have zero resistance to it, but also that was sort of the fun of realizing that you need to go find equipment.
You know, in those other games like PoE, Last Epic, you know, you're going to be chasing, one of the stats you're chasing are the resistances. So this one here, some of it's going to come within the armor itself.
Equipment with cold resist. So this change feels a little bit catered more towards a casual player base, in my opinion. But again, we'll have to see how powerful armor is in the end for defending against elemental damage. The amount of defense items will provide is determined by a new system called item power, which will be shown on an items tooltip, so you can kind of figure out how much armor.
You mean they just dumb down? I think is what you're trying to say, Mingo. They're dumbing down the system. Yeah, Diablo is not considered a hardcore. It's not a hardcore ARPG. You know, I don't know how to use that word. It's just not going to be like PoE, Last Epic, but PoE with the resistances. I mean,
each of your.
Okay, I think I've had enough of this guy for now. Thank you, sir. And he has another one. This one is 32 minutes. Is this the one? The last one? I'll save this and maybe we'll do this tomorrow. Depending upon what's going on. If I start the stream early tomorrow, we got to talk about something. So the goal, though, tomorrow is to get going and start playing. So the big thing for tomorrow is hopefully we can actually get in. And I don't have high confidence on that. Although you never know. So I'm not going to lose any sleep tonight because of this game. Because it won't be worth it. We may have to wait all day. Who knows? There may be all kinds of problems tomorrow. So the plan tomorrow is to stream gameplay here. We're trying to build a new community for this game for sure. We hope that the game is good so that we can have, longevity in our gameplay and streaming for this too. I don't like jumping around with video games. I'm looking for a couple great video games to hang my hat on. And I don't care if it's one is better than none. So I'm kind of a floater right now until we find a new forever home on video gaming. I don't know, Ka. Tomorrow we only have 3 options. I'll talk about Black Desert if you like. But tomorrow we only have 3 options. And I keep forgetting what they are. Barbarian, Rogue, and Sork. We don't even have... We can't even play the Necro tomorrow. Thanks, Jen. We can't even... Barbarian? I don't play rogues. But maybe I will. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to start with a barbarian tomorrow. And then go from there. We're going to try out every class. And so that we know what we're looking for when the game launches. I feel like the game is really... there's a lot of great stuff. You know what's coming in the future. There's new classes coming for this game. And it's going to be behind a paywall. Guarantee it. It will be behind a paywall. It'll be a part of a big package coming or whatever it is. I mean, no Crusader, you know. There'll be new classes in the future, but we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it. Guaranteed. You know how that goes. So I'll probably start with the palette. Barbarian, I guess. BDO. BDO is a great life skiller for me. I don't do PvP. So I started to realize, what am I doing all this for? And BDO is just like, it could just take your life away easy. And I almost felt like this is just too much of a good thing. That's what I felt like. Too much of a good thing in BDO. But then I didn't see how it's going to serve some larger purpose later on. Yeah. They're going to propose a nod to Diablo 1. Okay, yeah. And some of you guys and or girls play Diablo 1 too. I didn't really play those. Diablo 3 was my first Diablo game. This is the blog. Okay, so anyway, I think that's it for today. So we did 2 streams. So it may look like this is only a 2-hour stream, but I already did almost 3 hours this morning on Last Epic, and Last Epic is really turning out to be a great isometric ARPG. So I'm going to measure, eventually, Diablo 4 against a game like that.
Hey now.
Last Epic is going to be the PoE that I always wanted. That's what it's going to be. Last Epic is the Path of Exile that I wanted. And hopefully Diablo 4 is going to be a worthy successor to Diablo 3. I think the big thing I learned today is I don't think you craft on gear. Thanks, guys. You don't craft on gear. Except for aspects. But we did see gem slots, and I'm like, what the hell is this freaking gem slot for? What is that? No one talked about it. No one talked about those gem slots. Well, I don't know. They're called sockets. I don't know what those sockets are for. But you don't craft on gear like you do in PoE and Last Epic. That's, I think, the big takeaway. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Thanks, guys, for lurking. You don't have to say what you come into this stream. You don't have to say one word. One. Even when I ask questions, basically I'm talking to myself half the time. For you guys to participate in chat, I greatly appreciate it. Really do. But you don't have to say nothing. You can just lurk, 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 lurk. It's good for you and it's good for me. Thanks, guys. Okay, so hope to see you guys again tomorrow. And, well, rock and roll. It's spring break, right? Oh, frick. It's March Madness. Guys, we're gonna be competing against March Madness. March Madness. There's basketball on already today. I'm gonna go watch basketball today. And I'm not guys, I don't do marathon streams. So enjoy me, enjoy the streams and be here is great. I don't do no 20-hour streams. So I'm not changing much of anything, okay? I got basketball to watch tomorrow too. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you again in the future. Thanks, Yukon, for coming in at the end. And I ain't raiding. I don't know who to raid. I'm not going to go into the category and look for someone to... Or am I? No, screw it. Screw it. See you guys next time.